What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Can of Heaven. Thanks for tuning in and tapping in. I upload Mondays and Fridays at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. And with that being said, I like to start these off with a disclaimer by stating that these are for entertainment purposes only and to always do your own research, to come to your own conclusions, to make your own decisions, to have your own answers, and I believe in your ability to do so. And I also want to start this off by apologizing for any noises in advance or anything of that nature. I want to continue off the last episode, which I was just kind of talking about my philosophy of life and like all these different elements of things that make sense to me. And so I'm just going to continue to ramble. So in the last episode, I was talking about religions and what they mean to me and what spirituality means to me and what I identify as and all these other things. But now I want to talk about what our perception of reality is to me, right? Like my philosophy of this perception of what reality is. So for me, reality is like sitting in a control chamber or like sitting in the pilot seat of a spaceship or sitting in the driver's seat of a car. You only have control over the things that are immediate, technically speaking, right? Like I can only grab things, I can't just make things magically appear in my hand, but I can over a set of time. And so that's why I say that there's a level of control, but there's also not a level of control. And basically, to make this very clear and very concise, that's why I use the analogies or like I compare it to being in a driver's seat or being in the space shuttle seat, like driving the shuttle. You have control over the things that happen, right? Like you have control over what coordinates to take, what directions to go in, where to turn, whether or not to step on the gas or the brake, or to listen to music. And that is what defines our ideas of control and stuff like that. But basically, I'm going to digress from all of that because I don't want to get into like the control and what we have and what we don't have because you make that rule for yourself. Like you think you have a level of control, a level based off your understanding of that level or based off your understanding of the car or of life, and you define that for yourself. So, with that being said, I'm gonna digress from all those things just because it's easier if I just don't get into it. And because it's just my perception, like I can't define shit for you. So, you're in this control chamber, and my perception is that you can make things happen for yourself. This is what people call manifestation or the laws of the universe. You have controls because you have these rules. And it's kind of like on the road, you can go the speed limit. And that speed limit helps you not get pulled over. And when you don't get pulled over, you have a good day. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like there's rules to the game, but those rules are not really constrictive rules. And they're more there for your assistance. And just like the gas and the brake is there to help you accelerate and to stop, to come to a slower pace of things. So you're in this control room and you only perceive the immediate. You only perceive what's in front of you. And because of that reason, we don't have a set idea of what the future would look like. And some people have really good perception, right? Some people have really good vision. And this is what people I call psychics. That's what they are. They have really good identification of what they're seeing in front of them. And because of this identification being so good, or their perception being so good, they can see past what most people don't see. And because of that, it's kind of like if I need glasses or if I'm physically blind, I can't see farther than the next guy. But somebody who has perfect 20/20 vision can say, oh yeah, there's a car, over here there's a stoplight right in front of you, there's, I don't know, a dog right in front of you, there's something right in front of you, and it's good or it's bad. And it doesn't really matter what's in front of you. You know what I mean? Like, they can tell you what's in front of you, but it doesn't mean that it's good or bad unless you identify it to be good or bad. And because of that perception, we have kind of tricked ourselves as human beings to think that we have this perception of, like, I know what tomorrow is going to look like. You know why? Because every single day of my life has looked the same. I know that tomorrow I'm going to wake up and go to school. You know why? Because I've been doing that for the past 10 years. And sometimes we trick ourselves because we think that we have more control than we do. And because of that reason, we end up, going in directions that we don't necessarily want to be in. Like, for example, the reason I bring this up is because I was thinking about this very idea today. I was thinking to myself, I know how to manifest. And I manifest at really good rates. Why is a specific manifestation of mine taking so long? And the reason for that is because I already have this preconceived idea of what my next day is going to look like. And what my next day is going to look like doesn't contain that manifestation. Instead of just leaving the possibilities open, I'm closing the door to this possibility because I think that I know what's going to happen tomorrow. And the reason that I bring this up as a whole is because my perception of reality has always been very distorted due to being a human being and due to all of the things that people have fed me over the years, and not only that, but media and, like, humans. Like, humans in general, we trick each other. Like, I can trick you into thinking that I'm a good person. Or I can trick you into thinking that I'm a shit person, and that, like, I've killed people, and that I've done all these crazy things, and most of the time, people are just fake. Like, everything around you is just fake. Like, people who think that celebrities are, like, the most cool people that they've ever seen. If you met a celebrity in real life, I guarantee you they're not, like, all the hype. You know what I mean? And the only reason that we put that label of, like, oh, this person is phenomenal, or, oh, my day's gonna be absolute garbage tomorrow, because I know, because this whole week has been garbage, then that stops us from opening the door to the possibilities that we have as a human being and our reality. And I was thinking about this because I was like, you know what? I'm stopping my own manifestation, but I don't understand how I'm stopping my manifestation, and I want to understand how I'm stopping my manifestation. And I thought back to myself, back to my early childhood days when I could just think about how much I wanted something and then just get it out of the blue. And my family wasn't rich, like, by no means. My family was actually, like, bottom of the barrel, like, low, very low income. Both my parents are immigrants, and my dad went to jail. And because of that, we were always moving houses because we couldn't keep a house. And we were always getting our cars repoed because we couldn't keep them. And living under that type of condition, it never really stopped me from being like, oh, I want this thing, and I'm not going to get it because my dad's broke, or because my dad's not here, because my dad's in jail, and because how is my mom even making, affording this house? How are we going to get this thing if I, clearly don't have enough resource? And because of that understanding of, like, oh, you know what? I didn't close the door to the possibilities that are available to me. And all of my life, I've been told there's no possibilities that will be open for you. There's no possibilities that are going to be open for you. Magic is not real. Santa's not real. The Easter Bunny's not real. The Tooth Fairy is not real. So give up on all these hopes and dreams. And as a kid, I feel like most people are taught that dreams are not good. And that if you daydream, it's disassociation from reality. But in reality, or the real concept of reality, is daydreams and having hopes. And I don't like to say hope because it puts, the reversal of hope, which is fear. So I like to say faith. But faith sounds really religious. So I don't really like that word either. So I like hope, but I also don't like hope. And so from getting to this understanding of, like, how did I get things when I was little? How did I just manifest all these things? How did I manifest where I sit today? Like, I was clearly not in a good state of mind, but I still did it. So how did I do it? And how did I get all these things that I was not in a good state of mind to get, but I still managed to get them? Like, most people who are famous, they usually just want the fame and fortune. And then what comes with it is a lot of like, holy shit, this is a lot harder than I thought it was. This is not what I thought it was at all. Like most famous people talk about that all the time. They're like, well, they don't tell you about how many people are going to start talking shit about you to your face, behind your back. When fans come up to you, they're not always good fans. They're not always aware fans. They always say things that are really insensitive. And I wasn't prepared for that. And I wasn't prepared for the hate that I was going to get. And I wasn't prepared for, all these people who all of a sudden want to be my friend because now I have money. Now I'm not prepared for the people who are going to backstab me when I have money. And it's kind of just like those ideas. We always get stuff without realizing, but I want to be conscious of the decisions that I make so I can make smarter decisions, so I can help people who don't make that smart of a decision, regardless of whether or not they follow the set of guidelines that I'm giving them. And so because of that, because of what I was thinking about today, I was like, this specific manifestation, I think that I'm stopping it. I just don't understand how I'm stopping it. What am I doing wrong? And what I came to the conclusion was that I was taught to stop dreaming. I was taught to believe that I'm not shit. I was taught to believe, and this is by no means was I like, my mom wasn't like, you should never dream, like, it wasn't people that were like directly like, oh, you're a piece of garbage. You know what I mean? Even though it could be, like, I got bullied as a kid in school, but that never really stopped me from, manifesting all the things that I've ever wanted. So why is it stopping here? And then I thought about it and I was like, well, I put a lot of weight to the fact that I was bullied. I put a lot of weight to the fact that my family doesn't think so highly of me. I put a lot of weight to the fact that now I feel like I'm not the greatest person, because if I was the greatest person, why the fuck would I get bullied? If I was the greatest person, why the fuck wouldn't my family believe in me? Why would my team not believe in me? And that's where I got to this understanding that I'm not perceiving correctly. I'm perceiving through the lens of really negative, nasty Nancy's. People who don't really care for your hopes and dreams and achieving the unachievable and changing the fucking world, and like people who think of themselves as fucking superheroes. I always thought of myself as a superhero, and the day that changed, I started to struggle heavily in every single aspect of life itself. I started struggling with mental health. I started struggling with finances. I started struggling with everything. Like, I couldn't even go to school because I was just so exhausted. Couldn't do shit. Didn't talk to friends. Had no fucking social life. That's when I started having like social anxiety moments where I was like, what the fuck? That's when my depression kicked in, and I was like, you know what? When I was a kid, I did not believe in depression because I was like, what the fuck? How can you be sad? Like, look around you. Look how amazing everything is. And I was a pretty like, messed up kid. Like, a bunch of shit happened to me, and a bunch of shit that I need therapy for, but like, it never really stopped me in those moments. You know what I mean? And because of that, I was like, okay, I need to understand what the fuck life is so I can actually understand how to teach people how to manifest. Because if I'm doing it unconsciously, I know that other people do it unconsciously. They just need to have a conception of what that thing is and what they're doing so that they can replicate that exact thing and continue to get every single thing that they've ever wanted. Because they're going to do that regardless of whether or not I teach them how to do that. But for the people who are struggling because they're like, oh, my life is shit, wait, the people who are very negative, those are most likely the people who click on these types of videos because, you want to get those things you want. You want $1 million. You want to never have to struggle again. And so, because of that, I was like, okay, how am I stopping myself from doing that thing? I want to teach people how to manifest. How do I teach people how to do that? I'm doing it right now. How am I doing that? How is this possible? How can I put this into words? What I'm doing? And that's when I got to this conclusion that most people just close their perception. Their ideas of life are so rigid. Like, if you look at a conservative, they look at gay people and they're like, ew, that is a mental illness. You know what I mean? People who are, not diagnosed with any type of learning dysfunction, or like if you don't have ADHD or ADD, then most likely you're like, why can't these ADHD people just fucking focus? Why can't they just sit down straight? Or people who don't know a single autistic person. Most likely they're pretty fucking mean to autistic people. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't directly have it in your reality, you don't have a clear understanding of what that is, even if it's right in front of you. And because of that, your awareness just doesn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm bullying somebody and you don't know that person, why are you gonna fight for that person? Most likely you don't, because your perception of that idea is that it's none of your business. It's none of your problem. Your tunnel focus, your tunnel vision is set on your life, your specific life, which is a good thing. You know what I mean? Like, your awareness should be on you, but sometimes there is awareness to be like, oh, you know what? That's not right. This is wrong. But then again, I'm not here to tell you what's right from wrong, because who the fuck am I? Anyways, so I got to this, place where I was like, okay, I need to understand what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is clearly stopping myself. And how am I stopping myself? And then I got to this point where I was like, you know what? I am enough for these things. I do deserve these things. And the only reason that I feel like I don't deserve these things, or the only reason that I'm stopping myself from getting these things or from being able to perceive the things correctly, is because I don't have a clear conception of what life is. I don't know what life is, and I'm using other people's definitions to define my vision. Like, I'm using other people's words to explain things to people. I'm using other people's way of being to feel more confident. You know what I mean? Like, it's a bunch of different things that are wrapped into one. Which is why I was talking about what is it? The fact that we don't have clear perception. Like, we don't ever know anything except for what's in front of us. And so we use what's in front of us to our advantage, because that's how we fucking survive. Like, we're human beings. If I know that crossing the street when there's no cars there keeps me alive, that's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? And most people would tell you, don't cross the street when there's a shit ton of cars, because you could get hit by a car, right? So we automatically think that most people are giving good advice, even if they're not giving good advice. And most people that we put weight to their advice is usually people that are in our circles, right? Like our moms, our dads, our grandmas, people that we care for, not people that we don't fucking know. And because of that, sometimes our own family can, be steering us in the wrong direction. And the only reason that they steer you in the wrong direction is because that's the direction they were steered in. That's the direction that your grandparents steered your parents in the direction of. And your grandparents before that steered your grandparents in that direction. So most people do the things that they do unconsciously. So that's why I say that most people have wrong perception of what the world is, because as people, we just kind of like translate to each other. And when you play telephone, have you ever played the game Telephone? That game is a shit show, because it literally represents the fact that human beings, we just talk. Like, I could tell you something right here, right now, but it doesn't mean that it'll be translated properly. And because it won't be translated properly, it'll be distorted. Because I am the source of that information. You are not the source of that information. And because of that, your distortion of the information that I've given you is already false. And sometimes I can do that to myself. You know what I mean? Like, I can start the information by saying it wrong. I could communicate to you some vital information, like, I don't know, today's fucking Tuesday. And then I could be like, oh wait, you know what, I got that wrong, today's Friday. So that's why I say, like, we don't have clear perception, because we just don't, because we're not perfect. But that concept of not being perfect is actually a good thing, because you never know what to expect. Like, this is a life of any possibility. I could be right, I could be wrong. It's just a flip of the coin. And just because you shouldn't flip the coins in life doesn't mean that you shouldn't. You know what I mean? Like, most people are scared to take risks. And I think that it's crazy to not take risks because you only have this human that you are, your avatar, you only get to be that one once. So why be scared of all these things that other people are telling you should be scared of, and now you are actually scared because you're like, oh my god, it's scary because all these people told me it was scary, and now I believe them. And it's scary because I told myself it was scary. I can never do it. So I'm not gonna do it because it's scary. And so, with that being said, I'm just gonna conclude what I've learned today. I learned because we don't know anything as human beings. We're just sitting in this passenger seat. Not even the passenger seat. We're sitting in the driver's seat of a car. We don't know what the fuck this car is going, right? We don't know where this car is going. We don't know what this car is doing here. We're just in this car. We just exist. We don't know what the fuck is going on. But we don't accept that because it's not enough for us. We can't just accept that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, because then that means that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And who the fuck am I to be any person of importance? I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. How can I go and apply to a job that I have no experience for, right? That's how we most of the time feel. And because of, well, at least, that's how I was feeling during this specific time of my life, or during this little short period of my life, but I digress. So, because most people don't have the right perception of what life is, we're just here, I don't know shit. You know what I mean? My perception stops at where the wall stops because I can't see through the wall. And I'm not psychic. I can't just I don't have x-ray vision. You know what I mean? So because of that, I'm like, well, I don't have x-ray vision, so I have to trust that I can't just walk into this wall because it's probably not a good idea. And so because of that, I restrict myself. And because of the, basically our closed minds, we close out possibilities. Closed minds close out the possibilities. When you close out the possibilities, you shut out life. And so you're in this revolving door of the same things happening over and over because you already think that you know what's going to happen next. And life is this continuous game of I don't know what comes out of this box next. I don't know what's in front of me on this road. I'm just driving. And if you say, well, nothing's in front of me, I always know because every time that I look, there it is again. Nothing. Every time I look in front of me, every time I go out and I live my life, day to day, it's the same thing. The sun comes up, it goes down. And to that I say, it could be different. It could be different. Things could be different. Everything is possible. Anything is possible. You just have to be open to it. And I don't mean that in a really bold way where I'm you know what, aliens could come down at any moment and just destroy Earth. Because I feel because of where we sit as a conscious entity, I feel we're not, if aliens came to Earth, I don't think they'd be interested in Earth because, what the fuck do they get out of this place? Most likely, they probably wouldn't be able to survive in the same conditions. You know what I mean? We have our perfect ratio. Humans need to be a certain amount of miles from the sun so we don't burn. And we need water, and we need air. And what do aliens need? I don't fucking know. But it's probably not the same. You know what I mean? So, why am I gonna sit here and be aliens are already here, they're already among us? What if they are? Who the fuck am I to say that? You know what I mean? So, but just because I don't know doesn't mean that I should think lowly of myself because I'm not a scientist working my ass off to try and find aliens, because honestly, that'd be a waste of my time. You know what I mean? So I feel it's a mixture. It's this balance, right? It's just because I'm not the lead scientist at NASA doesn't mean I'm any less of a contribution to society. And just because I'm not the head lead scientist at NASA doesn't mean that I'm a piece of shit. You know what I mean? And if people came up to me and they're like, are you the head of NASA? Most people, that wouldn't be their first fucking question. But most people, they care about what career you do. And it's impressive, right? Because this life, you gotta impress people because you're living to their standards, not yours. Nobody gives a shit if you can fucking write in cursive and it's so fucking beautiful, right? Nobody gives a shit about your specific talents. Nobody cares about your specific flaws. Nobody cares about you because this life revolves around how much money do you make? What do you do for a living? How successful are you as a human? And I say as a human specifically because we only care about human things, and our human things are constructs. They are things that my mind just made up and you went with it. I said, hey, you shouldn't do that. You said, oh, you're right, I shouldn't do that. That's what people do. And that's why people think that celebrities are like the most amazing human beings that they've ever seen. And they're like super starstruck. And why crazy people exist because you're like, I, just fucking do what the fuck I want. My brain tells me to do this, I do it. So, with that being said, I'm gonna end this here. And I'm gonna end this by saying that I don't. You probably don't care about this episode, but like I guarantee that it's relatable as fuck. Because who the frick am I? Some random chick on the internet who makes podcasts. You know what I mean? Like I don't know any more than you. You don't know any more than me. We don't know any more than the next guy. They don't know any more than us. But somehow we want to say that person is smart. And I am dumb. Or I am smart. And that person is dumb as hell. Like, we don't have the perception to say that. Whether or not it's true. Because, none of this shit is true. I'm just here temporarily. I just got here. How many genders are there? I just got here. How the fuck am I supposed to know? So, anyways, with that being said, I hope that you had a good day, a good night, whenever you're listening. And thanks for tuning in to A Can of Heaven. I upload Mondays and Fridays at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. And with that being said, thanks for tuning in and tapping in. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.